Gen Z hasn't lost their dreams. They were just tired of living inside someone else, says. The American dream is no longer an aspiration, but a suffocating social pressure. They grew up watching their parents work 60-hour weeks just to pay for houses they were too exhausted to enjoy. They see how the chase for material wealth promised by modern capitalism often burns away humanity itself. Time to love, to rest, to simply be. So they're quietly stepping off the rat race, not because they've failed, but because they refuse to play a dehumanizing game. They've realized a harsh truth. Expensive education doesn't guarantee jobs. Hard work doesn't guarantee home ownership. And loyalty to companies doesn't guarantee security. To them, the old hard work always pays off narrative feels like an illusion built to keep them fueling the economic machine. Quiet quitting isn't laziness, it's awareness. They refuse to sacrifice mental health for titles, status, or hollow validation. This generation is dismantling the myths of success they inherited. They've seen people who are rich in money but poor in spirit, hollowed out by their own ambitions. And they ask, what's the point of wealth without time to enjoy it? They refuse to delay happiness until retirement, because they've learned the future is never guaranteed. They'd rather live now, to work enough, and spend their time on what truly matters. In that sense, they may look less ambitious, but they're actually prioritizing quality of life over quantity of possessions. They also reject the linear script: school, college, corporate job, marriage, house, retirement. To them, life doesn't need to follow an assembly line. They choose zigzag paths full of exploration, failure, and personal joy. They build small businesses, freelance, or create minimalist lifestyles free from location and time constraints. To them, time freedom is worth more than a large paycheck with chains attached. They see exhaustion not as a badge of honor, but as proof the system is broken. Their parents were taught that burnout equals success, but they know burnout only kills creativity and mental health. So they draw boundaries, resist overwork culture, and protect balance. In a world that glorifies busyness, they dare to move slowly, and that is their quiet act of rebellion. They're also breaking the myth that self-worth must be tied to job titles and income. They build identity around values, not careers. They seek meaning through art, community, contribution, and experience, not just bank account numbers. By doing so, they shift the center of gravity from external ambition to internal fulfillment. This makes them seem anti-success to the old system, but they're really building a more human definition of success. They refuse to be trapped in debt as a status symbol. Big houses and luxury cars aren't signs of success to them. They were golden cages. They choose simplicity, reduce consumption, and prioritize financial freedom over social image. It's a quiet rebellion against an industry built on manufacturing feelings of lack. They reject lack and choose enough, a small mental revolution with seismic impact. Quiet quitting also comes from collective trauma. They witnessed financial crashes wiping out their families' savings, then a pandemic stealing their youth. They grew up in chaos, so they no longer believe in promises of stability. They won't gamble their lives for the system's empty guarantees. Instead, they're reorganizing their priorities: mental health, time with loved ones, and space to be themselves. To them, chasing the old dream feels like running on a treadmill, exhausting but going nowhere. So they're stepping off. They choose slower paths filled with pauses and joy. They were beginning to see life not as a competition, but as a personal journey, one that doesn't need to look spectacular to others, only meaningful to themselves. Behind their decision to leave the American dream is a philosophical courage, the courage to live without the old map. They're creating their own maps, even if it's risky. They're willing to be called unambitious as long as they can live whole. They re-showing the world that real success isn't measured by what you own. It is measured by how fully you can be yourself without losing your soul. And in that paradox, they may have found a dream far freer than the one they were given. Gen Z is not abandoning ambition, they are redefining it. Where older generations saw ambition as climbing ladders and collecting titles, Gen Z sees it as designing a life aligned with their values. Their ambition is not to own more, but to live more, to have mornings without alarm clocks, work that doesn't drain their souls, and enough space to breathe. This isn't a retreat from responsibility, it's a revolution of purpose. They were not lazy, They are just unwilling to sell their peace of mind for someone else's approval. They are building careers as ecosystems, not hierarchies. Instead of aiming for the top of a single corporate tower, they plant seeds across multiple fields: freelancing, passion projects, side businesses, creative ventures. They diversify not only their income, but their identities. This decentralization of self is their shield against the fragility of the old system, where one layoff could shatter your entire life. For Gen Z, security comes from flexibility, not permanence. They've also rewritten their relationship with time. Time is no longer a currency to be traded for money. It is the ultimate wealth itself. They refuse to postpone living until someday, because they've seen how often someday never comes. They'd rather earn less but live more now than sacrifice decades on the altar of deferred happiness. This choice unsettles those who worship productivity, but it liberates those who value presence. Even their view of success has become more ecological. They see well-being as a system. Mental health, relationships, purpose, and income must all nourish each other, or the whole structure collapses. Unlike the old model that glorified sacrifice, they pursue balance as the foundation of achievement. They do not want to be rich and broken. They want to be whole and enough. Their wealth is measured in autonomy, not accumulation. Gen Z also questions the morality of the old dream. They see how the pursuit of endless growth has fueled burnout, inequality, and climate destruction. To them, choosing a slower life is not only personal rebellion, but ethical resistance. They want to succeed without exploiting others, to thrive without devouring the planet. This moral awakening makes their choices appear quiet, but their silence is thunderous to the old world. They no longer see quitting as failure. Walking away from toxic jobs, unhealthy cities, or hollow ambitions is not giving up. It is choosing life. They do not cling to things that no longer nourish them, just to maintain an image. Their bravery is not in endurance, but in release. They know that shedding what drains you is the first act of true freedom. This mindset also rewires how they handle money. Instead of chasing status through spending, they chase freedom through saving and investing. They see money as a tool, not a trophy. While the old dream screamed more, they whisper enough. And that subtle shift creates a mental abundance the system can measure. Because it isn't built on comparison, but contentment. They also build communities, not empires. While the old dream prized individual conquest, Gen Z seeks collective resilience. They form networks of mutual support, resource sharing, and emotional safety. In a world where institutions are crumbling, they build webs of trust that catch them when systems fail. They are proving that success doesn't require isolation. It thrives on connection. To the outside eye, this looks like disengagement. But in truth, it is deep engagement with life itself. They are not quitting. They are consciously choosing. They are dismantling the machine to rebuild something more human, slower, kinder. Their rebellion is soft yet unstoppable, rooted in the radical belief that life is not a competition, but a canvas. In rejecting the old American dream, Gen Z may be building something far more daring. A world where success is measured in freedom, not frenzy, in wholeness, not hustle. They are showing that you do not have to burn yourself to light up the world. You can shine by simply being fully, unapologetically alive, and that quietly might be the loudest revolution of all.